Today, I'm doing one of my favorites, nachos. And I'm going to start off by making a creamy cheese sauce. I'm going to cut off 2 ounces of cheese and then take the cheese and put it in a low heat skillet. I'm stirring it around a little just so it doesn't stick until the heat starts to melt it a little. And next, I'm going to add in a 1/4 cup of heavy whipping cream. Once I have my heavy cream added in, I'm going to stir the cheese around in it until it's completely melted. And to start, I'm just going to stir until I get at least half of the cheese melted down into the cream. It may seem a little tedious, but it really does not take that long. And stirring this also makes the sauce thicker. I'll let this sit for a minute so it can continue to thicken. Now I'm going to pick back up stirring my cheese so it continues to melt and mix with the heavy whipping cream. Now the thing is, as I mentioned, it's a little tedious, but if you're really a true nacho lover, then you'll know that the cream sauce is very important because it's definitely not one of those situations where you take cheese and just put it on top of the ingredients and then pop it in the microwave. Real nacho lovers want the thick, creamy cheese sauce. We want it thick and creamy. Okay, now I'm going to make homemade tortilla chips. Here I have 10 corn tortillas, and I'm going to cut these in half. I just stack them on top of each other so I can get it done in one swipe. And once I have this cut in half, I'm going to take one of the halves and cut it into thirds. And you'll actually be surprised as to how many chips you get by making your own from just a few tortillas. Not to mention, they are so much healthier. Okay, so I've got this side cut into thirds, and I'm going to repeat the same with the other half. It's something really cool about making your own homemade tortilla chips and not buying a bag full of unhealthy chips that's filled with more air than chips. At least it is for me. Okay, so now I'm ready to start with my lettuce. I'm going to make sure that I get it good and cleaned. I found this really cute salad washer online. I really love it. I literally just have to add the lettuce in there, wash it off with the water, and then stick the little tub back in here. And once I put the lid on, there's a pump right here, and you just pump this, and it picks up speed and dries off the lettuce. It really is a cool gadget. So then once it's been going around for a few seconds, then I just push my button here, which stops it. And just like that, I have clean, dry lettuce. And as you can see, my lettuce is washed and dried in a matter of a minute. Pour off the excess water from the lettuce spinner. And now I'm ready to dice up my lettuce. I use the spring mix. That's just one of my favorite lettuce that I like to use on my nachos. But you, of course, can use whatever kind is your favorite. I now have my lettuce chopped. I'm going to set it to the side and get ready to do diced tomatoes. I'm going to dice a half of a tomato, and I make sure that I use a medium firm tomato, not too hard, not too soft. Okay, now it's time to cook the beef. I'm going to spread it into a medium high heat skillet. Season. Of course, I have my Miss Edna Mae's seasoning salt that has all the perfect seasonings ready to go. After I have my seasonings on, I'm going to turn the heat down to medium so that it doesn't cook too fast. And I'm just going to stir the ground beef around until it's fully cooked. Now that the ground beef is cooked, I'm going to drain off the juice and set it to the side. Okay, now I'm ready to cook the tortilla chips. I'm going to add the tortilla pieces into a medium-high heat. It needs to be about 375 to 400 degrees. Now, a heads up about cooking the tortilla chips, they cook very fast, about 30 to 45 seconds per side. You want to make sure that you stay right there with them. You want to make sure that you don't overcrowd the pan and have the chips overlapping. That way, you ensure that they cook evenly and at the same time. Once you have your chips in the pan, what you want to keep an eye out for is the browning of the edges. Once they start to brown, then it's time for them to be flipped. And like I said earlier, these cook really quick, so make sure that you have a paper towel lined on a pan so you can get them right on there so they can drain. Now that my chips are nice and golden and ready to come out of the pan, I can go ahead and get them onto the paper towel so they can drain. And right here, you can just hear how crisp they are. And now it's time to grab a plate and get these nachos put together. So I got 2 handfuls of these golden crispy chips. Now I'm going to add on the ground beef. Now I love extra ground beef on my nachos, so I'm going to make sure that I add enough to cover all of the chips. There's some in every bite. Now it's time to add the tomatoes. Just want to make sure I get a nice covering so those two can be in every bite. Time to add the shredded lettuce. I want to make sure that I have enough to cover all parts of the other ingredients. So again, there's some in each bite. And to top it off, it's time to add the creamy golden cheese sauce. And I definitely want to make sure that I get that over all of the ingredients. So there's some in every bite. And just like that, now I have my delicious homemade nachos. Okay, now what time it is? Time to taste the nachos. Mm, enjoy your nachos.